Okay, good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Pioneer Valley Regional School District School Committee. Today is Thursday, August 22nd. This meeting is taking place in the Pioneer Valley Regional School Library and online and via Google Meet. It is 6:06 and I'll call the meeting to order. We'll need a roll call attendance.
Melissa Gary, present.
Jennifer Coffin here.
Michelle Geruso here.
Go ahead, Karen.
Karen O'Neill here.
Oh, and I don't see, and Raina, oh, and there's Steve. And Raina Dassey. Yep, thank you, and Stephen Martin. Great. All right. So we right now have time for citizens' comments. Is there anyone?
Didn't get any
Nope.
of this.
No, and I don't see anyone in the room for citizens' comments. So moving on, we'll go to the approval of the minutes for July 18th and August 8th. So we'll start with July 18th.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, just a question for you. Has MASC given you any feedback on appropriate feedback mechanisms that were mentioned in the minutes?
That is a good, not yet.
Okay.
I've not heard from
Just
you.
didn't want us to forget that.
Okay. I will make a note of that too.
I'll move to approve the July 18th meeting minutes. Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
I didn't want to, on page 2, item C, second line, the brand Yonder is Y-O-N-D-R, no E. Page 3, item C, third line, at the end of the line, Kate Mesmer's last name is spelled M-E-S-S-M-E-R, not N.
Any other corrections?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
I'll move to accept the July 18th meeting minutes with those corrections.
Second.
Thank you. And we'll need a roll call vote.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Geruso, yes.
Go ahead, Karen.
Karen O'Neill, yes.
And
Stephen Martin, yes.
thank you. And Raina Dastu, yes. So that passes unanimously. All right. And moving on to the August 8th minutes. Are there any corrections?
Let's see. Raina?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how this is handled, but we had scheduled a subcommittee meeting that had to be postponed, so it didn't happen on the date that was listed.
Oh, okay.
That's okay, because
That's
it was the
okay.
information that,
Yeah.
the minutes are accurate and that was the information shared at the meeting.
Okay,
That's
fine,
right.
that answers my question, thank you.
Okay, great. All right,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
great. Do I have a second?
I could second it. I'll second it.
Okay, great. All right.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, abstain.
Michelle Geruso, abstain.
Karen?
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Okay. And Raina Dasu, yes, so that passes. All right. Thank you. All right, moving on to the chair's report. We are working on a one-page informational sheet on what a school committee member does. And so I did, I got it. Sorry, I didn't confirm that. So, thank you, Melissa, for sharing that. So we'll chat afterwards. And it looks great. So, and also later on, I had a request under other business to talk a little bit about the district's decision not to do before and after care for the elementary schools. So we'll be talking about that more later on. So, all right. Superintendent's report, please.
Well, now, there is so much happening. Today, we finished the second of 2 days of new educator orientation. There's a wonderful cohort of new educators in the district, 15 people. We're anticipating one more person. Many of them have experience. Kate Mesmer led the 2 days. The PVREA had an opportunity to meet with the folks. We have a really nice agenda for these 2 days, and folks give us really positive feedback. One of our goals is that when new educators finish the 2 days, they feel affirmed in their decision to join this educational community. And the feedback thus far is that they feel affirmed. Band camp started. It was so exciting. I think Wednesday? One of the days earlier this week, band camp started. Wednesday. And students were in the building. I shouldn't say children, adolescents were in the building. And there was music, and Nick Rockwood, our new music teacher, and there were smiles, and it was great. All kinds of adults walking around happy, and so much fun to see 7th graders in band camp, because I would see those kids out in the elementary buildings, and now they're here. And one of the afternoons after that, I walked outside, and one of them who'd been in band camp was out with the cross-country team, and I thought, good on you. You are coming up to Pioneer and just getting yourself involved. Some of our educators and Kate Mesmer went to a multi-day seminar offered by the Massachusetts Consortium on Innovative Educational Assessment. I've talked about this outfit, MCIEA, before, to learn how to design authentic performance-based assessments. Sports. I checked in with Athletic Director Nick Adams. We have 101 students signed up for the sports teams this fall. Cross country has 11, golf has 12, boys soccer 27, girls soccer 21, volleyball has got 30 students signed up. In addition to those students, we have a few students co-oping with Greenfield in field hockey and football. Opening days start on Monday. We've got a full, busy agenda for Monday and Tuesday. Cheryl Brown, who will be speaking before the committee shortly, is feeding everybody on Monday. Our fantastic food services staff are preparing breakfast and lunch for the whole crew. And then lastly, there was a great project that took place in the district this summer, and I'd like you to hear about it. Raina, we're going to need your microphone. What is the best way to... let's see. And I wish that Bernardston School Committee member Gretchen Kelton were here, because she deserves...
Thank you for calling Pioneer Valley Regional School. The main office hours are Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. If you know your party's extension, please dial it now. Otherwise, please listen carefully to the following.
That is the inestimable Gretchen Kelton, who recorded the messages for Brattleboro Hospital, am I right? Yeah. So thank you, Gretchen Kelton. We'll thank you in person. How wonderful for that. And that's it for me. Thanks.
All right, sounds good. All right, so our onto our business, the meal charge policy. I believe is that Jordan or yeah.
Gretchen,
Yeah, Cheryl Brown, come on up.
I'm here as backup.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Cheryl Brown. I'm Director of Food Services for the district. And I created a memo for you all about some of the questions that you guys had back in the spring, I believe, about reimbursements and purchasing food and meal charges. So I hope you were able to look at that. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. We are starting a couple of great programs this year. At Northfield Elementary, we're doing a fresh fruit and vegetable program, which is a grant that we get free, fresh, local, if we can, fruits and vegetables to offer to every student in the school as a sample And the idea of this program is to get them to try new, fresh, raw, a variety of fruits and vegetables. So we're going to, we actually talked about it today at Northfield. We're going to deliver it to the classrooms, and then we're going to let the classrooms divvy it up as they want. They're going to get a whole bin to share with their students. And it's up to the kids if they want to try it or not. And so, yeah, so another program we're going to try, back before I became director, I was on the wellness committee, and we talked about a lot of local foods, trying to incorporate more local foods into our food service program. So I've been looking into that, and this year we're joining Massachusetts Farm to School's Harvest of the Month program. And what this is every month they feature a certain item. September is tomatoes. And they want us to purchase local tomatoes and make recipes. They give us recipes to do taste tests with the students. So we're going to set up twice a month at during lunchtime with a new recipe with these fresh local fruits or vegetables, and offer the children, at all districts, even the high school, offer them a taste test, and then they get to vote whether they loved it, liked it, or tried it. And we're going to try to introduce some new recipes with local fresh fruits, vegetables to these kids. And if they really love some of these recipes, we're going to put them in our menus.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, I think that was everything. Oh, meals prices. So we have one change. Desi has a formula to figure out like what we should charge for adult meals. And so when I did the formula this year with the new rates, we need to charge a minimum of $5.33 for an adult meal, lunch, and a minimum of $3.49 for a adult breakfast. So we really only need to make one small adjustment to the adult lunches. Instead of $5.25, we'd like to bring it to $5.35 just to reach that minimum.
All right, any questions?
I hope you get my daughter to eat a vegetable. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Please keep me posted.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
And I don't know whether other parents are in this situation. So I occasionally will get emails from the payment system, the pay, that I still have like a balance of like $26. It was pre-COVID. So pre-COVID, before lunches were free, I preloaded money onto this account.
Okay, it's a positive balance.
It's yeah. So it's positive
Yep.
balance.
It's still there.
Yep. So I know it's still there,
Yep,
but
and
there's no, so if my kids decide to get a second lunch,
They can use it.
they'll just use that and it will debit from that account?
Yes.
Okay. And if they graduate and still don't use it?
So at the end of the school year,
Because, like, what am I doing with this money? That's like.
so at the end of the school year, usually a couple weeks before graduation,
Yeah.
I send out emails to anyone that has a positive balance.
Okay.
And ask them, would they like the money back?
Yeah.
Do they have another student that they would like to transfer to their
Okay.
account? Or would they like to donate it to a student in need fund? And
Great.
then you just let me know what you want.
Great, yeah, because it's been hanging out there since
Yep,
2020.
and it'll follow
so.
them all the way to
Yeah.
the end.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
I was just curious how you got involved with these opportunities, like with the meal, monthly
Oh, the
trying new
Harvest of
meat,
the Month?
harvest of the month.
So
and,
I
yeah.
went to a conference last spring that was all about farm to school, and they really were talking about this program. And I got to go to a school in Northampton, and they showed us what they did for these kids, and I thought, wow, this looks fun. And the fact that the kids can vote on it and all that, and they were telling us how it really boosted their kids' participation and wanting to try things. So, and I knew that here we really wanted to try to get more local, and I'm like, this would be a great way because it wouldn't disrupt like this day, the students' day. It's during their lunch, something that I can kind of, my floater actually, I've kind of given her this assignment. So not only does she fill in for everyone, but she's gonna take over and hand out the taste tests for them.
Oh, great. So it's not even like, it's in addition to the regular menu, and they can just try it, and they're
Yes,
not
it'll be a big table. They
stuck
just
with
come
it.
up on the- Yep.
not stuck if they end up like, ooh. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for bringing these programs. This is exciting and a lot of, and I think, yeah, it's just such a great opportunity to get our kids more excited about lunches.
We are excited, and Cheryl's a great colleague. I think the entire food services staff feels positively about Cheryl's leadership. I know her administrative colleagues do. Cheryl comes to this farm to school table business honestly. Are folks here familiar with?
Use the microphone, Patricia.
Are folks here familiar with Poloni Farm and the
Where?
over the border and the corn there?
No.
Oh.
So I'm talking with my colleague Cheryl the other day, and she says, "Yeah, you know Poloni Farm." I'm like, "Yeah, the corn." She goes, "Yeah, well, I grew up on that farm. I grew up picking vegetables. There's a reason I don't have a garden right now." So Cheryl comes from a farming family and runs a horse farm. I don't know if everybody knows that. She has a large horse farm across the border in Vermont. So we got multi-talented people. And her daughter, okay, I'm just going to say it. Her daughters are big 4-H. They're students here.
Yes.
And they travel to Kentucky
And they're going again this year. They qualified.
to represent the state of the Vermont at the National 4-H
Oh, wow.
horse
Yes.
Oh,
thing.
great.
Last year they were judging team and quiz bowl team, and this year they're both on the hippology team, which is just horse knowledge, and they have to go and they have to do a big presentation in front of judges, and they get a problem and they have to work out the problem. Like if you were in this situation with your horse, what would you do? And then they have to present it orally as a team.
Great.
Wow.
So it's really exciting.
That's exciting.
And lastly, I know you have to make a motion. Anybody should feel free to encourage Miss Brown to help us start a 4-H program or an FFA, Future Farmers. She's got lots of. I'm just saying, Cheryl Brown knows how to run 4-H. And gosh, wouldn't this be a great place for Miss Brown to run? Anyway.
Yeah.
Actually.
You keep telling me that.
Not to stop all the fun, but I would like to make a motion to approve the FY25 meal prices as presented.
Second.
Great. Any further discussion? No. Go ahead and start the voting.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Druso, yes.
All right.
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Great. And Raina Dasty, yes. So that passes unanimously. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. All right. So policy review.
We are policy heavy
Yes,
these past two meetings. So for the first part, it's the second reading and the vote of the technology-related policies. And so I was just curious if anyone has any comments from last month's policies that were presented, or if we're ready to vote on them.
This was very helpful.
I am hearing
Yeah.
nothing.
I'm not hearing any.
I'm not hearing anything.
comments.
So
Mhm.
I would like to make a motion to accept all the technology-related policies as amended to be effective August 23rd, 2024.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Karen. All right. Any further discussion? No, thank you for all of the work that you put in. The subcommittee put in a tremendous amount of work for this, and it's obvious.
Thanks.
So we'll start the voting.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Druso, yes.
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
And Raina Dasty, yes. So those passed unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, so we're not done with policy. Hold on.
Not done.
Here's our first reading. So this set of policies has to do with discrimination. And we have 6 policies for the first reading tonight. What we presented you with tonight, different than last week, is the final copies of the policies. So as a subcommittee, we met the other night. We went through and we reviewed all of the recommendations from our lawyer and accepted them to move forward. So to give you a little background, we just did a table for you. Most of these policies were existing policies, but the name changed of the policy. The other major difference is that in all of the policies where race is mentioned, there is an asterisk, and it goes on to further define what race is. And sex orientation, sex stereotypes, and sex characteristics have also been added in all of the policies. So those are the major changes to what our current policies are. So this is the first reading.
And second, we're hoping that
Oh.
this is entitled.
Yes, sorry, thank you. We are asking for a emergency acceptance of these policies with a first and only reading. So this is allowed under policy BGB, where in situations where time may be of the essence, which this is for school starting next week, we're asking that we accept these policies as written tonight. I know that it's a lot of reading, but I also want to assure you that the first three policies are almost the exact same policies with the amendments that I told you. ACAR, this is a non-existing policy, but has been brought to us by MASC and has been reviewed by the lawyers and approved. And then again, the last one is just a name change from ACAB.
The new Title IX regulations, that's why. Does that help for context?
Go ahead.
The ACAR and most of these policies, the impetus for ACAR and some of the language changes are the newly released federal regulations related to Title IX. So there's been a flurry of activity among law firms, among groups like MASS, MASC, and MASC, as Melissa said, sent out recommendations. Our attorneys reviewed them. They had some thoughts, but that's the big thing that has happened over the past month and a half. The new regulations were released by the federal government, and as a recipient of federal money, we are required to have Title IX policies, and we need to get these updated in time for school to open.
Thank you.
I just have a question about, so policy ACA, I guess page 7. It references that the school district's website has the grievance procedures, and I wasn't, could you walk us
Because
through?
they're not done yet.
Okay.
Because this policy hasn't been approved.
Okay.
We do have, can I show, yeah, I should be able to
Maybe share your screen.
exit full screen, press. Oh, shoot. Sorry. This is the district, can folks see it at home? This is the district homepage, and if you go down to the bottom, there are a number of these policies, the older versions. So if these policies are approved, they'll go up, and the forms that you're talking about will go up.
Okay, all right. And then the grievance procedures will also be listed in that spot?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good. I was wondering if I was missing something.
No, you weren't missing.
Okay.
You weren't.
Like, and that form there.
Good eye.
Yeah, thank you. And then I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but the form, let me see if I wrote it down. The sexual incident
The incident reporting form,
Yeah,
that will need to be updated.
thank you. That was also one of my, like, ooh, that's a little old. And
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right.
So I'll make a motion to approve the policies related to discrimination as presented to be effective 8/23/24.
I will second.
Great. All right. Any further discussion? Go ahead and start the voting.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Geruso, yes.
Karen O'Neill, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
And Raina Dasta, yes. So those passed unanimously. Again, thank you for all of that work.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Yeah. All right. Student handbooks.
All right, the committee has my apology again that you did not get these earlier. All I can say is I feel sometimes like I'm riding a little wave. I'm just trying to stay at the top of the wave. So if you want to, I can walk you through, and I don't think it will take so much time. We'll start with the elementary handbook. Now, folks, Steve and Karen, you should have links to these in an email that was sent this afternoon.
Yes. But
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'll start with the elementary handbook on page 5. We propose removing the section about the before and after school program. Oh, sorry.
And just a note, under school closures, there's a sentence about the
Right.
before-school program will not operate.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
eliminate that sentence.
On page 6. Okay, these are important changes. So we wanted to, this is an iterative process. We want to make sure that when there are sections of the handbooks that interact with policy, regulation, or law, we want to make sure that they say what they're supposed to. So we've cleaned up some of the attendance language. There was that little chart in the middle of the page that actually doesn't have a basis in law or regulation. So I am suggesting that we stick with what is in the law, and that is a simple, when a student is absent, the schools are going to call the family within 3 days if the family doesn't contact the school about that absence. And that's a kind of a safety mechanism, right? We want to make sure that parents are aware. If you haven't told us, families, that your child wasn't here, we're going to let you know to make sure you're aware. So that is the...
Can we,
I've got some strong feelings about this, if we want to
Okay.
use that. So if my student doesn't show up, I expect a phone call that day. Period.
And you haven't told us.
And I haven't told you.
Okay. The school committee could direct us to put that in the handbook. I was putting in what is in policy, what is in the school committee's policy, and what's in the law. I think
Yeah.
it may be, the policy might say, it's better to have it happen the day of.
Yep.
I would second that immediately. If my
Okay.
student,
If
if my
my-
call
if-
confirming my kid
Great.
shouldn't be in school, that I should be notified.
Yeah. And I would say that day, I mean, I would go as far as 10 a.m. Like, no, I know. But that's what I'm saying. Like, attendance should be prompt. This is a legal document on where my children are, and the school better know where my child is.
And you do not notify school that same day, the school will contact, I will change it, so that, I'm not going to I will change it so that it says
And that
same
will,
day.
that will also go into the Pioneer.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh,
I have a quick question on that page as well.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you very much. I agree.
Yep. On under the absence due for any other reason is unexcused, the third bullet, I'm just, and I don't know how granular we're getting today, but how is that enforceable? And then why isn't?
Sorry, where are you?
Yep, you're under family procedures to notify the school. On the third bullet, on the day the student returns, send a written explanation. I'm confused as to why you don't call in to the school and give your explanation there. And is there a reason for the next day follow-up? And
Yeah, no, and the first bullet says, I don't have a complete handle on Parent Square yet, so I'm suggesting that the procedures below will be updated once we've got full implementation of Parent Square. So,
but just my question is, if I'm calling to say my student is not going to be there, I'm going to tell you why. And then the parent is responsible for sending a note the next day to explain why. And then
Okay,
how is
let
that
me check.
enforceable? Just from a policy
there's
perspective, it's
no,
weird.
it's not,
It feels
I
weird.
don't know that it's, I don't,
I know, just that's why I just
Okay.
didn't know if that could be rolled into calling to confirm why the student's going to be absent, or that
Yeah.
part just.
yeah, I think it does have a relationship to Parent Square, because if you're notifying us via Parent Square, that could be considered the written
That's written.
notice.
Yeah, that would be considered written notice.
So
if
you don't
you're-
have to
if you're
call.
notified.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is helpful, thank you.
Karen?
Yes, I don't know exactly where this comes in because my student handbooks didn't have page numbers on the actual pages. So it's under school responses to student absences. And there's a middle bullet there that refers to missing 2 or more periods.
Oh, that's nice.
And there are no periods in elementary school that I know of.
Oh, that may be, you may be looking at the high school.
Well, I did look at the high school one, and it's there, but it's also in the elementary one.
Karen, I'm not seeing it. Maybe after the meeting, would you send me back the link to the document you're looking at with the page?
I don't have page numbers on the version. But it's under school responses to student absences, and it's the middle bullet.
We don't have bullets.
We don't have bullets.
We don't have bullets in elementary.
Oh,
Let's look at the high school.
Yeah, I see that. It is there in the high school one. Yeah.
Okay.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I think she's in the high school.
Can I ask where doctor's appointments fit?
I think that's it.
Because I noticed that this was copied and pasted directly from policy. But it doesn't clarify if there's a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, Melissa, I am not certain that that's an excused absence.
That was my question.
Yeah, I don't, it's, this, from the policy, it's not listed as an excused absence.
Okay, so my question would be, is the policy copied directly from the law?
I believe it is.
Okay.
But I will triple check that.
And I know I'm in the policy subcommittee, that's not. Lost on me.
The only mention of it.
Right, for early dismissal, yep.
I must, I was going to say, can you click into it and
Mhm.
click the law?
Yeah,
The link that
so
I
I'm
gave.
just trying to find the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the purposes of this review,
Mhm.
the policy would need to change for the handbook language to change.
Okay.
I'm not, right?
I think so. I think, yeah. Yep.
But we can look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I'm going to page, that's procedures, page 8. On page 8, in the middle of the page, there's a listing of policies. That list will be updated and new links added based on the approvals that you made tonight.
Mhm.
On page 9, there's a reference to Parent Square. And so some of that language might be updated further.
I don't know if you heard me earlier too. Fantastic experience so far with Parent Square.
Oh, thank goodness.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
Thank you, Jennifer. Page 12. Similarly, in the middle of the page, there's some red text with a PK note that needs to be updated based on the policies approved tonight. All the way to page 19. At about the third paragraph or so, you'll see a strike-through on language relating to student clothing. We had a conversation during admin retreat. Massachusetts law gives students a great deal of latitude in what they wear, and the school district does not have the legal authority to tell students not to wear clothing with obscenity or profanity. And you'll see in the high school handbook, the secondary school handbook, we put in the citations that explain that a little more. On the next page, 20, again, those will be updated with the new policy language. Lastly, page 29. We've got two fixes here. The first is the elementary handbook had not had a student records section, and so we've added one, and it does a couple of things. It describes what this district approves as student directory information, and we are suggesting that we strike address and telephone because the district's policy doesn't allow for distribution of student addresses or telephones to third parties. Item C, and this one actually I hope stays in. When students are going to a new school, it really helps us if we can just send the records on to the new school without having to get permission from the family. There's a chain of custody for records. They never go into parent guardian hands. They have to go from school authority to school authority. So, and then the Title IX section is brand new based on the new regulations.
I have a question on B under student records, and I'm wondering why we don't get to opt in versus being automatically opted in to share all that information with third parties.
If the school committee wanted to go that route, it could go that route. Yeah, this has been in the Pioneer handbook for a number of years.
Could you give an example of a third party?
The Army.
Who?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And there hasn't been anybody who has had a problem with third parties having access.
We don't
Without
give out
consent?
so much we don't give out so much information to third parties. Let me think about this. I don't think that I have had a single, well, hang on one second. Sorry. There are parents who have requests do not release any information, and we follow that. We have made some mistakes at different times in different buildings with that, and so I get calls. I've gotten calls about that. I want to say, Jennifer, I don't think I've had a call in the past 3 years with someone saying, how did my, the honor roll, like we send the honor roll information out.
If I'm the only one who has a problem with it, that's fine. It feels like it should be a part of the onboarding school information where we fill out 1,500 pages of information, just one more page selecting how we'd like our students' information
So
to be
there is
used.
something in the secondary beginning of year forms already.
Okay.
I can triple check what it says in the elementary beginning of year forms.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll see about affirmative opt-in language versus opt-out.
Okay.
And then the Title IX section is brand new. And this was given to us by our attorneys.
I just have a comment, not that I want to change policy, but I was reading in the MASC latest newsletter, a very nice article written by a senior, I believe, in high school on homework around religious holidays. And I was wondering if a parent can ask if for some religious holidays. I do see in this one that, I don't know about the high school yet, about homework is not assigned on Friday, sorry.
Michelle, I am a little embarrassed because I don't know exactly what our handbook says at the secondary level. I know I've been in districts where it's very clear around major religious holidays, there's a let the kids do their holiday policy.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Renee. Yeah.
I feel like it's covered, maybe it's a pass, but I feel like it's covered under one of those umbrellas that we cover in the beginning of the year, that like those holidays are to be honored by,
Yeah.
and staff need to be aware of the assignments need to be, I feel like I've heard that before, so I'm not sure exactly where it's written either, but I feel like it's covered in those beginning of the year reviews that we do somewhere.
Yeah, but if I was a parent, 6 months later, I might refer to the handbook.
Right.
Right?
This is different.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I forget,
that's all.
umbrella it falls, but.
This article, he's requesting like a law to be, or DESI, to acknowledge, to put this as a policy. I just thought it was
Yeah, that's-
interesting.
I'd like to review quickly my takeaways from this. There is a question about what happens when a student has a medical appointment. And given that this comes straight from policy would need to change in order for this list to change. So that is something for policy committee to address in the future. I'm going to be looking at the Parent Square functionalities, and I'm going to adjust the language on page 6 in accordance with the functionality, and that might eliminate that send the note business, because if they're doing this, that takes care of that. I'm going to check on, could there be an affirmative opt-in? I'm on page 29 for those student records. And the school committee could just say, we want it to be an affirmative opt-in. The school district will not release to third parties without parent or guardian prior consent. That would be a change, and that we could make that change. Yeah. All right, so that's one to think about. Those are my takeaways. Did I miss something? Go ahead.
Well, I hate to belabor the point, and I know you want to move on. And maybe this isn't the time, but on page 18, again, just as a person who lives this handbook, under celebrations, I am noting that it says down, like almost 3/4 down the page, we ask that families refrain from having their child distribute party invitations in school as it can be uncomfortable for excluded children. So just noting how it's past practice, if every student has been invited, then the parents can use the school. So staff just need to be informed. That reads that it doesn't say that if everyone's invited, they can. It talks about the exclusion piece, but I don't know if it's clear. So I don't know what you were intending to say there, but I'm just letting you know that it comes up a lot.
invite everybody, it's okay?
It's okay.
It's
Yeah.
still okay.
I can change it. So I wouldn't wordsmith it, but it can say, you know, if you're not inviting everybody, don't send the invites
Right,
out at
that's
school.
what
Right.
traditionally
Okay, I
how
can
it's
change
been
that.
Yeah.
Put forward to folks.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, again, I apologize, I don't know what page this is on, but for chemical sensitivities.
That's high school.
I think
Yeah,
that's the
that's
secondary.
in
In the high
yeah.
school, secondary.
Oh, okay, well, when we get there.
Let me get that. Sounds good.
So, so for the release, the student record section, item A is a law, right? Unless there's a court order, people have a right to. Item B, there's the option of having the school committee say, Pioneer may not release to third parties. That is a one-word change, and that would, we can set up the beginning of year form so that it's, and then C, when a student, I hope that you'll support this. We want to be able to send the records without getting prior written consent from the families. And the last one is law, the D. Would you like me to say, to put in Pioneer will not release records to a third party without prior written consent?
Well, I think we have to, and according to No Child Left Behind for the armed services.
That's what I think.
The last sentence,
Yeah, it's you can opt out.
so this would, instead of saying you have to notify the school office, we would set it up as, we're not going to do this unless you give us consent.
So is your question, does the law say that it has
Has
to be
to.
that way
For the armed
versus the other
services.
way?
I'll check,
Yeah.
I'll check. I think we would be okay. Because it says, the student or parent would, if they don't want the information released without prior written consent, they have to notify the school office. They would be doing that by when they fill out their beginning of year for saying, don't release this information. Don't release this information without my consent.
Right.
But I can triple check that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, high school, secondary school handbook. Okay, so this handbook, I did not, the school committee approved several significant changes last year related to policies around discrimination, around due process for student discipline. Those were really important changes, thank you. It brought us up to, current regulations. This handbook needs an overhaul, so I just want to say that
Okay,
up front.
good.
It needs an overhaul, and handbooks are properly reviewed yearly by law by school councils. So this is a part of so much hasn't been tended to, right? And it will be tended to. Our schools, all 3 schools will have functioning school councils. NES has one by the end of the year, and one of their jobs will be looking at, so the elementary handbook is in better shape. So I want you to hear, I am not pretending that we're tackling everything.
Great.
We're tackling some stuff this year, the stuff that seemed most important. Okay. Page 5. In the middle of the page, there's some red text, that is Title IX language that we took.
Description, the highlights and the red text. It's the
That's different people putting their hands on the document.
updates, just
Yeah, though up there,
updates.
Warwick was taken out. Yep. Okay, I'm going to go to 6-7. We put in attendance language that matched regulation and policy that was similar to the elementary language with some, we left in some additions like about co-curricular activities, compulsory attendance, habitually truant students. And the information on page 7 at the top, that's about, no, that's that's responses. I can update that around same day. School's going to contact families same day, students absent, if we haven't heard from the family. The absence procedure towards the bottom of page 7, I've got a note, we've got to update that with the parent square. How things are different with parent square.
Just a question about, the interface with Parent Square. If a student is marked absent, does Parent Square notify the parent? Does Parent Square send a message automatically, or does it have that capability?
I think that it does. We have the capability to have it send an automatic message. Yes, I will triple check, but I think
Okay.
we did set it up that way.
Yeah. 'Cause that would take care of some of the, the legwork of, notifying, and you just get a text or an email right away.
Okie dokie. Page 9. Towards the top, there's some red text. We wanted to be clear. This is a legal point. There's something called administrative withdrawal when a student wants to leave school. We need to be clear that if a student is trying to withdraw from school and they're under the age of 16, we are required to contact the Department of Children and Families because it means they would be truant and they're underage. And so we just need to be clear with families. That's a legal point from our attorney. Mm-hmm. Okay, pages 17, 18, 19. Okay. This is a work in progress.
Oh, I have a
Go ahead, sorry.
question on page 14.
Yeah.
Under notification, the school will make every effort to notify parents or guardians as soon as possible. If my child's injured or a lockdown drill, I'd like to see that within a day.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like same
Yeah,
day.
if your child is injured, we
Like
should
same
call it
day.
that day.
Same day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it says, and again, this whole document has to be, it says during or after a lockdown. We're not going to contact you during a lockdown procedure.
You're not going to contact us during.
Strike, please
correct.
strike during
Yes,
a lockdown
right.
procedure.
Right.
But we should let you know if there's been a lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Pages 17, 18, 19. So this is an effort by our new principal and dean of student to provide greater clarity to students and families about what some of the expectations are regarding behavior and what consequences will be. Jeremiah has been attending a multi-day seminar on restorative justice and restorative practices. I'm very excited that the school will finally really begin to work on that. We're going to start small and build out. So that is all new in there in an attempt to clarify what will happen when there are behavioral violations.
I have a question on page 21.
Mm-hmm.
Driving and parking regulations. As I read it, it looks like this is a privilege for students to drive to school because their privilege can be taken away,
Mhm.
but there's no statement that it is a privilege.
Okay. We can add that.
And just as a point of clarification, is it actually a privilege? Do some families rely on their student being able to drive?
I had the same question about the bus. For in the elementary handbook, it talked about riding the bus as a privilege, and that the privilege can be taken away for disciplinary reasons. And I didn't think that riding the bus was a privilege. But that's how it's written. And
It is written in that way, and that has been a long-standing, important option for the school district.
yeah,
To let families know if your child, it's the similar, all school rules, kids have a right to come to school. And we exclude students from school, we don't want to,
Yep.
when we need to.
Yep.
We may exclude students from school transportation in the same way that we exclude students from school. There needs to be a high threshold.
Yep. Yep.
I'm going to go actually backwards to page 20 for a minute.
Yep.
I'd like to point out the dress code language.
Yep.
So we struck that language that said, no obscene, don't wear your cannabis T-shirt to school. It's not what the law says.
what
So
the
we
law
put the
says, yeah.
citations and we took the language from two different laws and just plunked it in there.
Yep.
I'm really sorry. Can I ask, can I go back to the notification section and
Yes.
ask that we mimic
Page.
page 14? Can
Yep.
we add that into the elementary one? Because I was actually going to
Sure.
bring up that there's lockdown
I like
drills,
that.
but we are not notified. It doesn't say anything about notifying, so just a copy and paste would be amazing.
Yep. Oh, I think lockdown.
But the notification section, just that whole notification could just be
Yep, okay,
the same.
Yep. Do folks want to talk about the pages with all the red text about behavioral stuff? 17, 18, 19?
I think it's really helpful to have information for families about how discipline happens. Yeah, it makes it more clear, and they understand if and when they get a phone call a little bit more.
Yeah, I liked how that there's options within it, so it's clear, but then there's options. So not everything's going to fit or have the same consequence, right? So I like the flexibility within that, and I like the tiered approach.
Pages 22 and 23, that's the same school records and student directory information. So I would. So there was not a clear decision.
No, well, I think, yeah, there wasn't a decision on whether
If
we
I'm
wanted
one
to.
person in the history of this policy who has a problem with it, we can keep it as the same. There's so much fraud lately, there's so much
know.
extra information, makes me very nervous that, and I'm not saying I don't trust the school to use it appropriately,
No.
but freedom to use my kid's information immediately versus the other way, and me saying I'm acknowledging that, just makes me very nervous.
So you absolutely have opportunity in our existing beginning of year forms, and those will be updated based on some of the tech policies, to say, don't release my child's likeness, don't release my child's name, don't connect my child's name to an image. That language, that
So
opportunity
that
exists.
supersedes what's in here, so that would override the fact, like that covers that.
Yes. So if you were to say there, don't
Okay.
release my child's information, then we don't release your information. There have been mistakes with that. I need, like, we've got systems in place, but I can't say that it's been 100% correct.
Of who you can.
Yep. I check all the time. When pictures go out, I don't use that many student images in the district update. I check every single time. And, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to page, Karen, were you noticing the chemical sensitivities? I mean, it's just a little thing, but if you're going to wear
Yeah,
fragrances.
just this little thing. It's, the last line has a couple of typos.
Yeah,
in
the
it.
typos.
Where?
Oh, yeah.
So at the end, ever apply?
Oh, never.
Never.
Oh, dear gosh.
Yeah.
25.
2025. The yellow highlighted on
hoping
25. That
someone would catch that when
Thank
they took
you.
the highlighting out.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's good to bring it out.
All right, page 27.
I have something on 26
sorry.
quickly.
Sorry, yeah.
No, 26 posters. The main office must approve. Do you mean administration or do
Yeah.
you,
And we actually, I actually added something to this, the phrase at the end, in accordance with district policies.
Yep.
Because it gave the school a little too much leeway, the way it was before, and
Yep.
we're educating everyone. There's district policy around what may go up. And so that's school administration. The principal or their designee. Okay. Page 27, I want to flag that senior privileges are changing.
Yeah.
And we have to figure out, and Jeremiah met with me today to review these changes, and they will be meeting with seniors to talk about what can we do to help seniors be special, feel special, have something extra. But we are not necessarily going to have a senior lounge all the time. It hasn't been completely successful the past few years. So I endorse giving Annie and Jeremiah the room to figure out with the current seniors what would work, what will help, but not put in writing that they absolutely will have a special area to study. I think that time may have passed.
right? Because like like when they paint their parking spaces that I love, that's not in here. So like there's senior privileges that I'm assuming they have that are not in the handbook.
They want to figure out what they are. Yeah, they don't have to be in here.
That's what I'm
Also,
saying. Yeah. So something like that.
Yep. Let's see.
Page 28.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have one more.
yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
trying
it's
to speed read. So on the privileges section as well, and so at the very bottom before student officers, it says a student who's unruly or violates the rule will lose their privileges for 2 weeks. And if you go up into school service, if they fail to meet community service requirements, they just lose all of it altogether. There's just no 2 week or until they make up the time. I just want to make sure it's consistent
Wait,
on.
so I see that, failure to meet community servants requirements will result in a loss of privileges. You're talking about that?
Yeah, like altogether. So if I don't do community service in October for the rest of the year, I'm out. But if I am unruly, I get 2 weeks penalty and I'm back. So I just wanted to clarify if there's anything in that
Yep.
to stay consistent in
Okay.
sort of offenses.
I will ask them to adjust the language so that it's more consistent.
How does the 2 hours of community service under the supervision of a
Mrs. Brennan would like to
yeah,
say
that's
something.
why I'm like I was waiting for Claire.
So in terms of community service, that was when there were study halls and so for the first term, they had to do so many hours worth of community service. So I would have them bring books to me, bring, whatever, a lot of teachers did. Without having study halls now, I'm not really sure how they're going to get community service. I think that's something that the school council is going to have to take a look at.
Yeah.
Because it's, without study halls and with them playing a sport, the opportunity for them to have community service, when are they going to have it?
And how are you supposed to oversee that?
Right.
Because it's
Unless we're coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Correct.
And I don't think that's a.
Right.
So I think that whole piece is something, again, this is old.
Yeah.
And it needs to be updated. I don't really think it's fair to even request that they have community service
Right.
when they don't have the opportunity to perform it.
yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Okay. School service. During the 2024-25 school year, school administration will work with seniors to develop a new program of community service to be presented to the school committee for approval.
And they're looking at are we looking at senior privileges overall?
I was just looking
In
at school
addition?
service.
Yeah, I mean, it's all under the eligibility, it's part of the eligibility for senior privileges and what the
I also believe
privileges
it's part
are.
of the honor society too, that they
Right,
have
it
to do
is.
community service, so there's a lot of work to be done to make this more reasonable for students.
And I think it's an important value to serve your community, but we need to be realistic in what we can expect from the students and how we ask them to account for that.
So something like during the 2024 school year, school administration will work with students to develop a community service program that meets contemporary student needs. Okay. Okay.
Yep. So carry on, it's after visitors, so if you want to cover the highlight,
What page?
page 28, if you want to cover that highlighted, or where were we going to go?
I was going to go to page 29.
Oh, okay. So on page 28, the human sexual issues, can
Yep.
we wordsmith that? Maybe human sexuality curriculum or human sexual sex education.
Yes.
I thought it was.
Tell me.
I thought that
Nurse,
was.
tell me.
I looked
Yes.
at that and I thought, oh, is this the Title IX stuff? I'm like, oh no, it's not. It's about that you have the that a parent can opt out of sex ed.
Human sexual education or human sexuality issues.
Yeah. So it's.
This is a real gem.
I'm glad other people are laughing.
I was the recipient of an opt-out growing up, by the way.
Oh.
So,
You what?
the
How
recipient
about
of an
education
opt-out.
related to human sexuality?
Yes, I think
Okay,
that
Yes,
sounds
yes,
great.
yes, yeah.
That's much more.
You know what we do get?
Appropriate.
You know what we get to? Human sexual. You know what I get a fair number of? Are public records requests for everything we have ever bought relating to human sexuality and human sexuality education, and the
Wow.
names of the courses and the names of the books and the, absolutely, yes, we get
Wow.
it repeated. Not from parents or guardians, from groups. Okay, on page 28. This is a new language. It's not super new, but we haven't gotten it into this. This came from MASS and then our council. This is athletics, bullying, hazing language that was recommended by both people to get into our handbooks, and there is a related form. You see it linked, the signed release of liability, and it is about behavior in locker rooms and supervision in locker rooms. And so this would become kids who are doing, especially kids doing sports, they need to have their families sign the release of liability. Page 31, the handbook last year had the entirely wrong bullying prevention policy. So
Okay.
put in the current policy. Page 34, this is one of those sections that needs to
This
be,
where hearing is? Oh, okay.
keep going.
Yep.
So 35, page 35.
That whole thing gets
Okay.
changed.
Okay.
Up at the top of page 34, there's
Yep.
my note saying all the technology policies below have to be replaced by new policies. That due process stuff, you did that last year, that is correct, that is current. Page 44. Annie and Jeremiah have got additional language about disciplinary actions that is, I think needs some more review and discussion among multiple people. So I'd like to pause and we either bring it to the 12th or we bring it at a subsequent meeting and we could add it electronically once it's approved. But I'm flagging for you. Page 45, this is also where some new policies go in. We do not have the chemical health and tobacco policy. They are as they are, as far as I know. I didn't review those. And at the end, page 49, That is the new Title IX language that was, I'm suggesting, well, our attorneys have suggested be added to both the elementary and secondary handbook. Again, I know there's a lot more to be done with this handbook. We tried to get attendance, some of the major policies. Okay.
All right. Do we need to vote on the revisions on the student handbook?
Yeah, if the committee is comfortable with it. So here's our, we were trying to get these to you for the first meeting in August, and I certainly wish we could have gotten them to you many days before a meeting. We need to send out the beginning of year forms, and those require parent guardian sign off on all kinds of policies, a number of which are new, right? The technology. And we make reference to the handbooks.
The shape that they're in, I don't feel comfortable voting in the affirmative to accept them. One, because of the numerous edits that have to, but also student voice have not been part of the handbook, and it was put out in a newsletter asking for students to volunteer to be part of the voice of the handbook. And so for us to vote on something that they haven't been involved in when it's been put out to solicit their input.
Yeah. There's your community.
I know
center.
Annie
There you
wanted
go.
students to send in cover art for the student handbook.
Yeah, I'd have to get my cell phone out to say
Yes,
what it, how it
student,
went
student
out. But
voice, I have to be honest, yes, student, so
Yeah.
school councils are supposed to do this work.
Yep.
Student voice should be part of that,
Yep.
absolutely. Go ahead, that's,
No, so I'm just saying, I feel like it's really incomplete. I get the pressure of the first day and wanting to get everything signed, and but we're going to be having people sign off on things that aren't accurate.
that is true. And another, we have been asking parents and guardians to sign off on beginning of year forms and this handbook, and it's been in even worse shape
Yep.
than it is right
I
now. Just being
understand that.
honest.
Nope, I understand that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see it as a step forward, and we're taking this step with some substantive changes. There are many more changes that need to happen. And with the school councils, I feel like that's a vehicle for getting, involving student voice and more community involvement with what this handbook will look like. So I feel like these will look very different next summer when we're looking at them at the end of the school year, or at whatever point on the calendar that we're supposed to be reviewing. This is late in the process. So I feel like, we've made some good changes. There's more work to be done, and we have a vehicle for making more change.
I just want to
Yeah.
confirm one point to piggyback off of that. So is the impetus that if we approve, the changes will be implemented before the parents electronically sign that they agreed to the handbook? That will happen. So we're not agreeing to this, and then we're making updates to it.
I'm not saying that we wouldn't come to you later in the year for updates and those.
Oh, no, so, I'm sorry, as a parent,
Yeah.
I'm not signing that I read this. I'm signing that I read the updated
The
version.
updated
Okay.
version, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Because I feel like the alternative is that we do have parents sign off on this without the changes, and I don't like that idea. I don't necessarily want to rush the process, but I also feel like there is a little bit of a time pressure.
Could we
With school
put
starting
some statement in there that this is a work in progress and not everything is 100%, I don't know, something 100% accurate
No, that was my
or
question,
something?
though. That was my question. So if we approve it today, the updates will be in the hands of the parents who, before they sign, that they agree with it. Everything will be updated. So we don't need to notate.
All the changes that we made
What we
tonight.
did tonight,
Yeah,
but
we-
it's
the only
not
changes we talked about.
100% clear. I mean, clean.
But that's my point, is it will be. We're saying tonight, if we vote yes to the amended
I go then
updates-
amend, I go
Yeah.
amend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We amend the beginning of year forms, we get the policies in. When the beginning of year forms go out, let's say Monday or Tuesday, there's an awful lot of work that's happened between now and Tuesday, so they get the
Updated
cleaned up
version.
version of this, yes. Oh, Karen O'Neill.
Oh.
Hi, Karen. Okay, sorry. So, go back to your calendar.
So with someone, yeah, I think,
And click on the meeting link again.
I'm just trying to figure out a way that,
I wish we had more time.
yeah, that this isn't,
A way to create more time.
and this probably needs more work than this one,
Yeah,
is what we're saying.
I agree. At the student
Yeah.
handbook,
I
the
mean, that-
elementary handbook, I think has been
Elementary's
more.
pretty,
And just
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see Melissa's point as a parent,
Yeah.
you know? Although I don't have any kids, but I do.
Okay.
What will parents sign if they don't sign?
If
Will
we
they
don't
just
vote
not have
tonight,
a handbook to sign? Or will they sign last year's handbook?
They could sign last year's handbook. It wouldn't have the policies that you just voted on.
Or the behaviors or anything?
No.
Yeah,
It wouldn't have, it wouldn't have the cell phone policy. There's nothing
Right.
right,
on the cell phone policy at all.
yeah.
Right, but a positive vote tonight, they would be in there.
Yes.
That's what I feel like. I just want to make sure that sounds
Yeah.
what we're all talking about. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so if we vote in the affirmative tonight, then we would be approving the changes that we discussed, and the new version would go out to parents. And there is still a lot that needs to be approved, but we would be working towards more of that change. The other alternative is to make those edits and then have a cleaner copy that we would look at and vote. We would hold a special meeting
Could have a special
on
meeting early
Tuesday.
next week.
Yeah.
But we're still not getting the student voice either. I'm just bringing it, all this up as if
Right.
I had,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
we can
children in
vote
the
on it.
school
I just won't,
district. Yeah.
You know,
Right,
I
so-
think worst case scenario is they sign a handbook that has completely outdated policies. That's the worst case scenario. And then the middle would be an emergency special meeting for us to spend time to review and agree on the updates and then vote in time.
It's a tough decision.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the elementary and Pioneer Valley Regional School student handbooks for the 24-25 school year with the recommended amendments.
I just had one thought. Could we just leave this on it? and say it's a work in progress? The word draft? You know, and put when it's updated? Just a thought.
Not for signatures. I don't think for a, you mean something to send out
Yeah.
for signatures? That's not, doesn't make you comfortable.
Revised.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm not recalling, but like, so but what the changes are, and then the pieces that are works in progress, update folks and have them sign as you go, like amendments. You know, like the pieces that need, so like collect approvals again in December, whenever you're done with the amended version. I mean, often parents are notified mid-year if a policy changes, right? So it's just pretty much notifying them that this has been added or changed. Because some sections seem like they just need to be like their page is empty. So
Yeah,
that's
or the policy is out, it's an old policy, or it hasn't, yeah, it doesn't reflect the current
Yeah,
practice.
the problem with having folks not sign things is it leaves us in limbo.
Well, they sign what's ready, like you vote in what you
Agreed to
Are you talking
that.
about the school, you're talking about families when they do their beginning of year forms? That's-
Yeah, like you're asking them to read this handbook and sign it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what they.
Yeah, sort of a, it would be challenging for us to have a multi-stage beginning of year form sign-off process where we separate out things that have been approved in the handbook and not, I think there would be cascading consequences that could make stuff difficult.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second to that motion? A motion to approve the handbooks as amended with the proposed changes.
Karen?
Okay, I'll second it so we can have the
Okay,
vote.
great. All right, so any further discussion? And I think also handbooks give us some guidelines, but they are not written in stone. You know, the policies, the procedures that are outlined give us some guidance, but there are circumstances where those, not everything is covered in a handbook, and not everything will be followed exactly as the handbook says. Is also
Better be.
partly my
If we,
Yeah.
sorry. If we have a
Handbook.
handbook, it better be followed. So sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
there are extenuating circumstances that where
I just
Well, I
have.
think we talked
oh,
about some of those extenuating circumstances, because we can't follow the part in the handbook about community service when there isn't the opportunity
Right.
for community service. So specific things, yes, are going to be followed, but other things are statements about how things are going to go, but it doesn't always go that way. There's always other things that happen that doesn't make it just, this happens in box A, so this is what happens. I mean, it's what you go by, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the letter of the law.
All right. So is there any other discussion? So why don't we proceed?
I just have a problem because we're doing things at the last minute. I just want to put that out there because we've done things at the last minute before without, and, you know, I just wish we had more time to clean it up.
Nobody for an emergency meeting then to? whatever
I don't think we'll be able to get through all this with an emergency meeting. I mean, that's only,
I mean, there are a lot of updates, but when you take the updates and review just them, it's not a whole document, I don't think. So I would be for having an additional meeting. If everybody would be more comfortable with that, it seems like that's the best route. I don't think we should, I feel like the other option is going in with a handbook that doesn't.
Well, let's vote and see what happens,
yeah.
because it may be a moot point. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll probably pass.
All right. So, Melissa, do you want to start the voting?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Melissa, no.
Okay.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Geruso, abstain.
Steve?
Yes, I'm sorry. Steve
Yep.
Martin abstained.
All right, and Karen? Oh, you're muted, Karen. Sorry, Karen, we can't hear you. Yeah. Patricia's trying to call you. Yeah.
Hello? Hi.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Are you? Oops. Sorry.
On her end.
That's okay.
I need to abstain.
Okay.
Got it. Recorded.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to hang up. Oh, Karen.
Okay. Thanks. All right. And Raina Dastu, yes. So we have 1 no, 2 yeses, and 3 abstains. So technically, I think that passes, but I also feel like with so many abstentions, I think that we need to have an emergency, have a special meeting, and we can do it remotely. We would need to post it tomorrow morning, and we can do it remotely. I would say Tuesday.
Okay. Tuesday, there's a district agreement subcommittee meeting from 5 to 7.
Yeah, that's right.
Can we have special meetings without the 48 hours?
No.
No.
I could do a 4 o'clock if it was virtual.
I can't. But if you had enough people.
Do we think it's like an hour?
Or 7.
Yeah, I can't.
Or
We're going to push
7.
the DA meeting back an hour
30?
then?
Oh, from 6 to 8?
We could do that. It's already posted.
We'll have to bring food.
What date?
So on
Tuesday?
Tuesday, the 27th,
Yeah.
if we move the DA meeting from 6 to 8 and do a 5
Wow.
o'clock.
Okay. I could do that. But I'd rather come here instead, because it.
Yeah,
I
I
will
would
be
rather-
here because of our meeting.
We'll be
Oh,
here
yeah.
because of the
Yeah.
meeting.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do not want to speak for Sylvia, but
No,
if
no.
she was
So-
going to be at our meeting anyways, I feel like
Yeah.
that we'll have her there.
So here's what I will do. I'm going to make all the changes talked about tonight. I'm suggesting, tell me what you think. I'm not going to show you all those changes. I'm going to show you the places where there was some question or some not sure, what do we do here? Those are places I'm going to highlight. All the other stuff in the Pioneer Handbook, like that was found tonight, like the 2 hours. I wasn't looking for that stuff. I'm going to work on the policies, the comments that were made, incorporate those. Any place where it seemed like there was a question or a concern, I'm going to highlight it so that it's easier for you to find. Yep. Okay.
And
we're actually
include the policies that
everything
were.
will go in. Yep.
Okay.
And then I'm going to work with Chris Fontaine. We're meeting tomorrow. I'm going to get going on all the revisions to the beginning of year forms under the assumption that things will pass. And so there should be only a few tweaks that we would have to make on Tuesday evening. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Sounds good. All right, so moving on to our next agenda item, new courses at PVRS.
Yep. So this is one that does not need school committee approval. This is a informational item. There are 3 new courses being offered. There might be a couple more that come through. One is with Mrs. Brennan, Language Through Art, a middle school course. Danica Tominski will be teaching a high school theater course. We're very excited about these. And then our new librarian teacher, Jenna Sarnak, will be teaching Intro to Creative Writing and a Literary Magazine. So, yeah.
Is that for both schools, since it's not indicated what school it's tied to? Is it everybody?
Claire's course is middle school.
Jenna one.
Danica's is high school. I am not certain. Do you know, Claire, the Literary Magazine and Intro? I don't know. I'll find out.
Very cool.
I just have a question. Do we ever survey the students to see what, and parents, to see what courses?
I don't know.
They
I'll
might.
find out.
Okay. I did notice other school committees do that as I was looking through searching.
Okay. This course is 9 through 12. Thanks. Okay.
Great. Okay. Exciting. All right, so we're done. Next item is the MSBA Senior Studies site visit.
Jordan, you there?
Oh, no.
No signal for anyone. Looks like the...
Hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I think my volume somehow turned down. Okay,
That's okay.
great.
I can't see everyone's video, so this is really often people are probably rolling their eyes when I'm talking and want me to stop, but now I can't actually see it, so I have even less cues to stop talking, but I will try to keep it brief and efficient. So good news, of the 47 SOIs, statement of interest that were submitted to MSBA, 28 have been accepted for further review, and we're one of those districts. So, that's a bit of positive news about, our application, and the MSB is interested in potentially partnering with us, given the deficiencies and potential plan going forward. They're interested in our project. So the next step in terms of the senior study, what the MSBA is really looking to do is to come out and get a feel for the things that were identified in our actual statement of interest application. And seeing those things and confirming that the level of need exists. So they're going to come and tour the different buildings on September 18th. Are there any questions about the actual process and selection process to this point?
What are the next steps? So they come and then they will look at the pieces that we outlined in our application. And then what do they do with that information?
Right, so they're going to, assess that, the facilities and confirm, that the need exists as identified in our application. And ultimately what they're really doing is if all things go well, your hope is that you then get invited into the eligibility period and follow the next steps in the process to hopefully, receive, our estimates, potentially 60% MSBA funding for a building project. So our hope after this, really, there isn't another thing until December when the MSBA meets and chooses the districts that are going to be invited into the eligibility period. So we're just hoping to, certainly there's real work that's going to be done, and they're really, it's a team of experienced professionals coming out. Of course, there's the element of also wanting to be, extremely professional, have a good presentation, and show the people around the district. So there's, kind of that interpersonal aspect of it too, but a lot of it is really technical and specific to the buildings themselves.
Okay. Any other questions? All right.
If there aren't any other questions, I'll just get into I think the next important point, besides the senior study itself and looking at the buildings, another important point that they want to, that the MSBA wants to get more information on is really the financial wherewithal of the towns themselves and support, the level of support of the towns, for a potential building project. And obviously at this point, it's pretty theoretical, and it's not just our district. Any district at this point, the towns, they're not going to be asked, hey, do you have $20 million over 30 years? What do you think about that? Because it's not really specific. It's much more general, from my understanding, and I've had some conversations with people that have been in the process. But at this point, it's not super specific, but it's more MSBA would like to have town representation at this senior study and have an opportunity to speak with people who are kind of familiar with the town funding capacity. So that is why that I have a request for school committee action, requesting the school committee to support us reaching out to the select board chairs and town coordinators to engage them in this process and invite them to both pre-meeting and ultimately the September 18th senior study itself. Any questions about that?
No, not seeing any.
Nope. I'll make the motion to approve the district administration to contact local town officials to participate in the MSBA senior study process.
I'll second.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, go ahead and start the voting.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Druso, yes.
Steve Martin, yes.
And I see Karen said
Karen
yes.
saying
Yeah, great. All right, and Raina Dastu, yes. So that passes unanimously. So move forward. Sounds good.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
All right. So moving on, we have our district review report from Desi.
This is an informational item. More to come on this. I've spoken with Teaching and Learning Chair Karen O'Neill, and the report will be discussed at the next meeting of the subcommittee. This is the report that Desi commissioned with the American Institute of Research. It happens, every district goes through this reporting process. We got our report just the other day. I've shared it with you. I've taken just a quick look, and it is exactly what we expected. We have loads of work to do regarding teaching and learning. And again, the state chooses one of two areas of focus. One is operations, and the other is teaching and learning, essentially. And I asked if they would please focus on teaching and learning because we've done so much work on operations. That's not where I'm really worried. Where we need to do better is teaching and learning. So there's not much to say right now. My team hasn't had a chance to dive into the report. Teaching and learning will look, but we will come back to you later, but I wanted to make sure you had access to it.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So I will entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2, 3, and 4, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Teachers Association. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares, and to return to open session at the end of the executive session. And also pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 22F and G, approval of executive session minutes from July 18th, 24, which will require a vote.
I'll second.
No, you're moving.
Oh,
Who's
you're,
seconding?
oh, I thought you
You're making
moved.
that motion.
Okay, I
I'm
moved
just
the
reading the
motion
motion.
that Raina just read.
Oh, I'll second.
Great. All right. Thank you. And we need to.
Melissa
take a roll
Gary,
call.
yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Druso, yes.
Karen O'Neill said yes. And Steve?
Steve also says yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, I can take mine in. And Jeff, you'll need to log off. Moving on, continuing with our business, the MOU between the PVREA regarding the district nurse leader stipend. Did we?
A motion to
Yes, this,
approve it.
so we need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the MOU with the PVREA District Nurse Leader Stipend.
I'll second.
Great. Any discussion? And go ahead. And
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Giarrusso, yes.
Karen? Karen says
she
yes,
says
and
yes.
Raina Dastu, yes. So that passes unanimously. And then we also need a vote on the job description for the district nurse leader.
Oh, God.
Making you don't have to do all the work. I move to approve the district nurse leader job description.
Second.
Great. Any discussion?
No.
Go ahead and start the voting.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Giarrusso, yes.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Karen. Do you want to type it into the chat? I don't know why we can't hear you.
Tyler, was this turned off?
It might have turned off on its own.
All right. So Raina Dastu, I vote yes to that. Okay. Yeah, I think you were part of the discussion, or you listened in on the discussion. So Karen's asking, she didn't read the entire contents and wonders if a yes is appropriate.
Yes.
I think that would be fine. You were there, part of the discussion, so, so yes, so that passes unanimously as well. All right. Personnel update.
Yes, I'm looking for a quick slide. Oh, it's not there, darn it. Okay, I'll share it in August, in September. So staff changes. Oh, gosh, Mr. Ludke left us. We all knew this might happen. He wrote the loveliest email. Mr. Ludke he's had very happy life changes. Gosh, we're sorry. And we've already got a finalist candidate for that position.
Excellent.
Christina Yarber is coming back to us at NES. We're really happy about that. Amanda McKinley is leaving BES she was an instructional assistant there to become the elementary behaviorist at NES. Genevieve Sarnak, Jenna Sarnak, we hired her as our librarian here. Rowan is our new math teacher, and Cassie Putnam is now our BCBA. She finished her BCBA program.
Great. Thank you. Excellent. All right. Our enrollment update.
Okay, did you get the 822 numbers? Does
Yep. It says 822 on
good.
it.
So I held off because we had, there were 9 students who, we increased by 9 students from 8-1. And I believe that we're going to be increasing about 5 more students at least before school opens. So I wanted to have a more accurate picture of where things stand. So a few notes here. Our overall numbers are down. We've got 3 more Vernon students in terms of tuition-paying students and 3 fewer students from Warwick. I'm not including the 2 Warwick students who had a 1-year agreement for NES. We have a reduction of 1 pre-K classroom, which meant a reduction of 17 students overall, although I think we're getting up to 20 and 20 in the I believe we will be getting up to 20 and 20 in the pre-K classrooms. This is really interesting. We have 4 more students in the middle school right now than we did in June. Our big loss was the kids graduating grade 8 and going to grade 9. Overall, at the high school, we have a loss of 8 students, which is not as large as I thought it would be. We've got 3 students added to the rolls as turning students in a Turning 22 program. We had a very large 6th grade class last year across both elementary buildings. And so the elementary numbers are smaller because that large 6th grade is no longer there and was replaced by a smaller early years class. I took a look at housing. I've been keeping an eye on it, but I just thought, looking at these numbers, we don't have a lot of housing. I'm saying nothing that you don't know. But as of today, there were 5 houses available in Northfield, 5 in Bernardston, and 2 in Leiden. There's some lots. There's some empty lots. Someone could build a house. It's a really cute 3-season house in Northfield, but a family couldn't live there. So I've been thinking a lot about that because we get inquiries. Mm-hmm. So these are our numbers. And in this building, I think, I will just keep saying it, I think this is the year where we see some major changes at Pioneer. And our goal is to keep as many of our middle school students as possible.
The 19 at grade 11 is the one that stands out for me. Like the drop at the, that 9th grade. Is there
That was the
anything-
class where we had, that was the class, that was my first experience of the large exodus to tech. We had a few kids, let me think about that class. I don't want to talk about specific.
No,
I know,
yeah.
it's a
That
small
was my
class.
thing. It was that I imagine we'd see that at the 9th, but at the 11th grade. That's, I think, my, right? Is that what that
That's
means?
that's that class it's been small since it was in 9th grade. They were 9th, they were in 10th, now they're in 11th.
Okay, but people, there
so
aren't
this is compared-
minus
I'm
19
I'm
people.
confused, I'm sorry, where am I?
So
16.
that decrease of 19 is
Oh,
I might be reading it
Yep.
wrong.
so let's see. So last year's
They start here a
11th
couple
grade,
years.
last year's 11th grade had 35 kids. This year's 11th grade has 16 kids. There are 16 fewer, so
I know that, but I'm saying that number. Is there any anecdotal information as to what that lead
Oh,
at that
did any of the
grade
10th
is?
graders lead? So
Yeah.
Right, so that 19 is not that 19 kids left, it's that this 11th grade is 19 students smaller than the
Previous class.
the previous 11th grade.
11th grade. Okay,
The
thank you.
previous
Yeah.
11th grade
Okay.
had 35 students.
Okay,
Yeah,
not that
okay. It-
19
yeah,
10th
no,
graders did
no.
not. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll keep flagging, there are public, we're small communities here in the valley. That really small class, they'll be with us this year and next year, and there will be stories about the tiny graduating class at Pioneer, and we're going to keep working really hard to keep more kids and attract more kids so that the classes after that are larger.
Yeah, it's an outlier with the other 3 grades.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right. So next on our, so other business. I know there's been a lot of talk in the community. Families are struggling to find before and after care. The district made a decision in the spring not to provide that service. Well, we weren't providing that service. We had a contract with CES to provide that service. That contract was terminated, and I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but we don't have that available to families this fall. And I know that families are struggling to figure out what they're going to do. And I definitely have that struggle is real. I know. I know that I couldn't have done it without aftercare. And so I do feel for the families that are facing this crisis. And I don't know if you want to say a little bit about it, or
I feel similarly. I've shared with some people, as a single working parent in Boston, I my family was dependent upon out-of-school care, and our own out-of-school care was a yearly patchwork of nonprofit organizations, some school-based care, and babysitters that I hired. I am deeply sympathetic to the struggle that families face, and it is unfortunate that public school districts are not able to meet all of the needs of our families, even though we would like to. And we are uniquely well positioned to offer out-of-school care. We have school buildings. We have staff who work with children. The district didn't budget for this. The district doesn't have administrative capacity to run a program right now, and that pains me to say that. It is, however, the reality. I don't have an administrator who has the bandwidth to take on getting a program started, and if someone did, it means that they would leave other important work unfinished, and that wouldn't be responsible for me to supervise.
I did attend the it's too bad Brian left. I did attend the Bernardston Select Board meeting last night, and they do seem to have, well, it's not a solution, it's only aftercare for a couple hours. It's not before care. But I was talking to parents, and I see the biggest difference is when when my children went to school in Leiden, there was over 100 children in that small school, and we worked and helped each other out with before and after school. And the numbers are just going down, down, down. And there's, like you said, we're not getting any young families. We get 2 or 3 or something, but just as many people are moving out, it's the older people that have retired from the Boston area. We're getting a lot from California, New York. We're not getting young families to move to Leiden because the housing is also very expensive, and they just young families can't afford it. So I don't know what the issues are. I feel very bad for parents who, can't find a solution. But hopefully Bernardston is going to take care of this for a couple hours. And, if they could take care of it, I'm sure they would even more.
And I think one of the things that makes it so much more complicated is that any business that provides childcare is, there are many complicated laws and regulations around childcare facilities and childcare centers and childcare providers, and so it makes it that much more complicated. Even if someone were willing to kind of hang a shingle out and say, hey, I'm a provider, send your kids to me after school, there's a lot that's involved with that, administratively and legally and liability-wise. So it's a lot more complicated, I think, than it was when I was a kid. I mean, so that makes it that much more challenging for someone to try to have a business or for the rec department to take this on. There's so much involved. It's a complicated undertaking. So, all right, that's good. All right, so our upcoming meetings, the district agreement will be meeting on 8/27. We will be posting a special meeting for the school committee at 5, and district agreement will be meeting at 6 instead.
On
8/27.
Yep.
Our next regular school committee meeting is September 12th at 6 p.m. here. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. Go ahead and-
Melissa Gary, yes.
Jennifer Coffin, yes.
Michelle Geruso, yes.
Yeah. Karen, yes, and Raina Daster, yes. All right, sounds good. 8:07.